All right. Um, Excited for the opportunity this weekend, and I think the team. I think it was had a challenging finish to the schedule, and to go on the road and play a tough team in a tough environment. But we're a good team, and when we don't, obviously, that's where we've fallen short of our goals and our objectives. So the focus is on us. Um, Playing to an identity, playing to a strategy. I think this is a great identity game for us, where we need to be strong in all three phases because LSU is a really good team, and it's a prideful program that's going to be looking for a bounce-back victory at home. So the guys are excited for the challenge. We're excited to go down and compete, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
When you went back and watched film against South Carolina, could you identify a lot of mistakes or failures that maybe were based in fatigue, the wear and tear of the season, anything like that, or is that just an easy out?
I, I think I said this after the game. I don't, you always want to guard against just creating excuses for yourself. I do think that the team, coming out of the game, if I was most disappointed about anything, it didn't feel like the same fight we had. And I think had we had that punch to us, that we would have been able to create a tighter game in the fourth quarter. And those are games that we found ways to either creep back into or, in some cases, win. But like any season, this time of year, you're going to deal with wear and tear. Certainly. Though I don't want to make an excuse, I also want to recognize and honor the fact that this team has stepped into the fight week in, week out. So we were uncharacteristically without energy and spirit, I think, to close the game out. And it seemed to me like we're a couple of plays away from feeling really good about where we were positioned. I look at the way we closed the half out. The exchange of turnovers was disappointing, but we have a possession there at the end of the half that we get past midfield. If we're able to get some points there, certainly you feel good going into half, and then that opening sequence in the second half where we're on body on the quarterback and ready to create a really difficult circumstance, and credit to him, he gets out of it and finds the receiver downfield. I just felt like once we got on our heels, we had the counter punch offensively where we cut it to 14-7, and then we couldn't down the run and do things that we had done all season. So not to rehash the entire game, I think upon review of the film, there were definitely things that I was disappointed in all three phases. I did not think we handled them up front very well, and it seemed like a lot of the production on offense kind of channeled through Diego, which he can do, but certainly to feel like there's elements of the run game or the throw game that that he can strengthen the performance in the other guys, facilitate performance in the other guys. Defensively, just seemed like they were able to grind out third down and shorts, and they broke a couple runs on us that, again, it's uncharacteristic play, but we've moved on from it and learned from it, and we're better for it. So we'll take that learning forward, but certainly was a disappointing outcome for us.
Last December, did you get any advice from Brian Kelly? And if not, I guess what were the learnings that you took in general from coaching under him?
There was no. I mean, he and I keep a line of communication. Obviously, I see him at all our events, and I've got a ton of respect for him. I mean, BK's a mentor to me and gave me an incredible opportunity, and then supported me through the learning that I needed within that opportunity. That's both, what it means to be a coordinator, and then obviously when you're with someone for 4 years, you kind of see head coaching through their eyes too. I learned a lot from him, and keep in mind too, back referencing the wintertime, I got to Notre Dame in 2017, and they had just come off a 4-8 season where he really had to step back and, adjust course. And so, I wasn't a part of that process. I was maybe there because of that process, but I saw someone who was learning and growing, even as he had been a successful head coach for a really long time. I think that left an incredible mark on me, just in terms of this constant learning, constant growth, continuous learning, continuous growth that you have to take hold of and manifest in your career to get on top, to stay on top, those kinds of things. So that was an incredible part of that experience. And again, I felt like that program evolved as Coach Kelly evolved. And I've tried to model that in my growth here, and his growth gave way to a couple of playoff runs and an 11-win season in between that ultimately, again, put me in position to get this opportunity. So learned a lot from him, continued to learn from him, mentor, guy I have a ton of respect for, and just really grateful for the time that I had to learn underneath him.
How did you approach practice last week with Diego, and how's he feeling?
He's still banged up, and it's probably going to be, a few weeks, removed from the game before he feels back to 100%. He's also tough as nails. So, how did I approach the bye week with him? I put him on the shelf. I did that with most of the guys that had accumulated a lot of snaps. I mean, we're banged up at a lot of positions. When I say put them on the shelf, those guys still trained, still conditioned, but they didn't participate in practice. With respect to the part of the team we practiced, it was our depth players or guys that hadn't played as many snaps and our young players, that needed the development. So it was a great week of work for us, but the focus for the guys that had played the majority of our snaps this season was to rejuvenate, get healthy, and get their legs back. On the whole, we did that. I think we've had a couple days, Sunday being an extra practice day for us, and then today where I see a little more spring in our step. With Diego, we're just going to have to manage this, through the next couple weeks before we can get him some downtime to fully recover.
What are you saying to your team ahead of this LSU game? I know you've played in some tough environments this year, but Death Valley at night is no joke.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've learned a little bit about spending too much time on that stuff because in the end, it's about how you play, it's about your performance, and though we want them to be aware of the context for the game, the circumstances, how challenging it is, we've taken our program to a lot of tough places, and I know this is among the toughest. I played there in 2004. I'm pretty sure there's been a capacity shift. If you guys can fact check that, yeah. So I do remember there was a live tiger at that point for sure. But we'll do crowd noise and that kind of thing in practice. The more I can get this team to focus on us, the better we play. And again, to give a lot of energy and preparation to the environment. I mean, the truth is there are times at home where we battle crowd noise. We've had to grow and evolve to be ready for that at any point in time. So we have a ton of respect for LSU. We have a ton of respect for their stadium and their fan base and their environment. And if we're going to have any chance to battle it, because we know if we don't, that those things really can come into play and factor in.
In terms of health, can you point to positions or maybe guys that are better than they were 2 weeks ago, and any injuries that have popped up since, perhaps?
Darren Wiley is going to be out. That popped up last week in one-on-ones. Obviously, Bradley Mann is out. That was at the Auburn game. The rest of these guys, I mean, they're all doing better. Devin Lee's been battling illness. He's returned to practice. I mean, we're again, relatively, I think we're in a good place. And the guys that we had a few ankles and some shoulders, and those guys that were really hobbled, they didn't participate in practice last week. So I think they all feel refreshed. I mean, that's at least the feedback I'm getting. Now maybe that's because they want to make sure they know that it helps when they don't have to put the pads on and hit late in the year. But we were conscious of this in the South Carolina week too. I mean, I think one of the things going back to the Auburn game that I saw on film again in all three phases was a tired team. That was a sense I got coming out of that game. We didn't close space like we had closed space. We weren't able to generate space in the run game like we had been. I mean, this team has been called into a really physical schedule this season, and they've answered the bell. So, I started to sense these things in the Auburn week. Obviously, we did what we could for South Carolina. That was another physical, tough team that we had to play, and so it was important for us last week to try to get this group back to energized and healthy. And on the whole, I think we've accomplished that. This will be a physical, tough game that is ahead of us, and so it'll take everything that we have.
Nussmeier might be the best pocket passer that you guys have played. And what are the challenges that he presents, especially like just with the arm talent getting the ball all over the field?
Yeah, he'll get it anywhere he needs to get it, and deliver it on a rope there. I can make a lot of throws if I crow hop and take some run and start. He can actually rip it, right after the snap. So getting the ball into space quickly, I think, is a factor, especially against zone coverage. His ability to isolate the field corner. And get the ball to a skilled player in space. Obviously, we've had a little trouble at times with kind of quick passes into the flat this year too. A lot of that is structural on our end, just playing with a little bit of awareness. But again, with the level of athleticism that he's feeding the ball to, I mean, we have to be on point that way. He's super effective on third down. I think there's enough mobility there where he can move the pocket and step into things, extend plays. But, he finds the runaway over or the big dig as good as anybody that we've played against. And so, those are the challenges. It's different. It's different than some of the quarterbacks we've played where they're more traditional dual threat. Again, it's the ability for him to reach every throw. And he's a really good quarterback. So as he extends, he finds routes late. We have to be on body. We have to play with grace. It's about how we contest that space as the ball leaves his hands. So we'll have to play our best that way to limit points. It's still going to be a game where defensively keeping the ball inside and in front of us is going to be really important to the outcome we want as a team.
Your offensive production has gone down a little bit as the season's gone on. As you look at film, are teams more prepared to maybe face what you guys offer? Is there's more film? And did you spend any time in the last 2 weeks maybe adding plays, changing things? How much attention went into that in the bye?
Are you asking if I specifically added some offensive plays?
Whoever.
I don't think anyone wants that. No. There's a few things, I think. One is we need to get healthy, and we did the best we could. I mean, I don't know that there's anything else we could have done last week to try to rejuvenate. We're still building depth as a program, and so the top line guys have played a ton of snaps. So that's one. We've faced some good defenses, but what winning looks like for us doesn't change. I mean, it's strength in all three phases. And so there's a style of offense we can play that doesn't include scoring 35, 40 points that is a winning performance for us. But it doesn't include 3 and outs. It doesn't include turning the ball over. It doesn't include functioning without a run game. And I think that's kind of where, we've been challenged the last couple weeks. Not being able to get the run started and again, playing from behind the chains. we played well on third down, and even last week I thought our third down numbers, they're out in front of me, but offensively they were pretty good. And that was without kind of short yardage third downs too. So there's playmaking ability there. We have to play better, up front, which we have, to this point this year. We've put together some performances we're really proud of. We just have to get back to that mentality where we create the runs, and over time, physically we're on a team so that the 4 or 5 yard runs become 8 and 10 yard runs that become explosive plays that set up, play action shots and create a passing game that gets the ball in the end zone. But what I want to see on Saturday is an offense that can control the game through possession of the ball. And if we can limit the exposure on our defense, if we can flip the field in our possessions and put them on long fields and try to create short fields for us, that's winning offense at Vanderbilt. That's what it is. And the more snaps we accumulate, just like we've seen through the course of the year, the more opportunities we have to become explosive, and that'll be critical for us in the game.
Adjust the game plan if Diego's mobility is limited in some capacity on Saturday.
If he what? I'm sorry.
If his mobility is
mobility.
Limited.
Well, I mean, he obviously if he's limited, we have to facilitate performance in other players that can run the ball. Obviously Nate's prepared to play too, and there comes a point in time where limited mobility with the inability to run or inability to generate extend plays on third down, I mean, that he's ineffective, and if he's ineffective, we need to give Nate a chance to run our offense. But what I've learned about Diego this season, I mean, he's taken so many hits, and there's so many times where I, worried, I'm going to find him in the tent and see if he's okay, and inevitably, I mean, he bounces back out there. So there's nothing that says that he won't be ready to go, and I mean, he's as intense a competitor as I've ever been around, and I'm not sure yet what holds him out, and I hope I don't have to learn about that. I mean, that's just a part of his DNA, and but we will prepare with our quarterback depth, starting with Nate, to make sure we're ready if something does happen.
Clark, what's it mean to be named Region 2 Coach of the Year? Does it show how far this program has come?
Well, you are alerting me of this honor. So as
Michael sent it out.
well, me and Mike are gonna have a conversation. I'm just kidding. As everyone knows, I live under a rock, and that's not Mike's fault. That's my own fault, but I think we're better for it. Any award that I get is a testament to our players. So, it's a part of being the head coach. Is sometimes you get too much credit, and sometimes you get not enough blame. Honestly, I mean, I've said, and maybe this goes back to Robbie's question earlier, as I evolve, the program evolves. As I get better, the program gets better. But in the end, my role is specifically to unlock performance for our players, and any award, any recognition goes to them. So does it show how far our program's come? We're certainly in better position now than we were a year ago. The same response I've had to that all season is this can't be the finish point for us. We have to keep pushing within the season, which is about playing LSU this weekend, and then beyond as a program. We have to keep pushing to create, what I believe can exist here, and we're proud of the progress we've made, but we're not satisfied.
You've obviously seen Brian Kelly coach several years since you've been apart from him. When you watch film, how much is familiar? How much has he changed in what he does?
I don't know tactically that it's just different teams, And I mean, one of the things that Coach does is he allows his coaches to coach. So BK was great when it came to functioning as a linebacker coach, functioning as a defensive coordinator. So a lot of the personality of those staff members comes out in the performance of the sides of the ball. He's a really smart football mind. I mean, he's been around the game for a long time. He used to love, his favorite thing to do was when I would, sometimes it would be prompted, sometimes unprompted, but he would come in at times and talk to me about his days of being the D coordinator back at Grand Valley State, which always was fun to hear about some of the things. And sometimes there was a coverage or two we'd take into the plan that he would draw up on the board. So wealth of experience. He always had answers for me when I had questions. I always appreciated those conversations. I mean, he taught me 2-minute football, and sometimes I didn't like those conversations, but in the end, he was right. About how to take away early access, how to close the middle of the field. I mean, I evolved so much in just how I process the game from our interactions. And he's an intense competitor too, and I mean, he gets a lot of attention for that. But what about him, in all interactions, and I think a part of his evolution while I was at Notre Dame was just his, the demonstration of how he cares about you, how he takes care of you. I can't tell you the number of times that I mean, we had things come up as a family. Baby Jack was born when I was there. I mean, the support he showed me, that was in fall camp, because I can't time things out very well. So the support he showed me in that process, C3, actually, we were here visiting my parents. This was 2018 or 2019, and C3 got sick. We had to put him in the hospital here at Vanderbilt for 8 days. And again, I think Coach Kelly at the time, it was in the spring. I think he was in Italy because he knows how to get away, and I learned that from him too. But just immediately calling me from overseas to check on the family, to offer any support he could. I mean, it's just when I went through the process of interviewing for head coaching jobs, I mean, there's so many coaches that get protective, that get defensive, that want to tell you why you shouldn't do it. And he couldn't have been more supportive through that process. So, again, I forget the question. I just, I can't say enough about who he is as a person, coach, and I see